Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining me for this episode of The Unlovely Truth. I'm your host, Lori Morrison, and it's time to talk about what happens at the intersection of faith and true crime. I'm also going to share ways that you can make the leap from the audience to the action through service. And remember, some of our conversations might get a little difficult for young or sensitive listeners, but you and we're going to go ahead and dive right in. This is Season 2, Episode 22, and we're going to take a look at what local police say is the only unsolved homicide in Columbus, Indiana. Every victim deserves to have their story told, but not every story gets made into a book. Maybe if Doug's had, his family would have had the answers that they've searched for so long. On August 31st, in 1986, Doug Sons was shot in the head during an apparent robbery at the Kocolene gas station on Jonathon Moore Pike. He was working alone on the late shift. The 22-year-old died the next day at Methodist Hospital in Indianapolis. After several regular customers from the gas station expressed an interest in helping Doug's young widow, Kocolene took donations and set up a memorial fund for her and for the baby she was expecting with Doug. They also set up a reward for information leading to Doug's killer or killers. That sense of community is definitely one of the best parts of life in a small town. And Columbus is a very unique small town. Even with less than 50,000 residents, it's become a premier destination for visitors from all corners of the globe. The famous publication Condé Nast Traveler called it, quote, one of the world's best cities for architecture lovers, end quote. The Visitor Center in Columbus guides guests to visit 75 notable architectural sites, 7 of which have been designated National Historic Landmarks. Not exactly what you'd expect in rural Indiana. Some of Columbus's other claims to fame are its notable residents, and probably the best known is former Vice President Mike Pence. But the city also claims actors, athletes, inventors, and even a shoe designer you may have heard of, Chuck Taylor. For the most part, though, it's a blue-collar town. Thousands of people commute into Columbus every day from surrounding communities to work in one of the many factories that keeps the town's economy strong. Barely 2 weeks after Doug's death, the local newspaper, The Republic, ran an article on gun violence in the county. In 1986, there had been 2 murders in which guns had been used, including Doug's. Police did not recover the gun that was used to kill him. The Columbus Police Department still has boxes of information on Doug's murder. But to clear this case and to give his family a small measure of peace, they need more. And that's why I wanted to highlight this case this week. The old case notes, interview recordings, even the coin changers from the station showed Doug's life frozen at that one horrible moment in time when he was brutally murdered. But they don't show the Doug that his friends knew. He was a husband, a musician, a soon-to-be father, and so much more to the people that loved him. I took a trip to Columbus, and I looked for the Kocolene station where Doug had worked. It's no longer there, but it once stood near where highways 46 and 11 intersect. It seemed like a quiet area, a place where I felt safe. It was sobering to stop and think about what had happened there before many of the area's residents were even born. Crime Stoppers USA has been working with local media outlets and law enforcement since 1976. With tips from the public, they've helped clear over 1 million cases. I've included a link to their website in the show notes, so be sure that you check that out. You can be a financial supporter, you can become a member of a local chapter, or you can subscribe to their newsletter, like I do. They do amazing work, and they certainly are true crime heroes. Elizabeth Landfeld wasn't born yet when Doug was killed. She is the daughter that Doug never got to meet. She never saw his musical side or celebrated a birthday with him, but she still visits his grave whenever she's back in Columbus. Let's help her find out who robbed her of her father. No one has ever been charged in Doug's death, though police do have persons of interest as well as DNA. One small piece of information may be all that it takes to solve this case, and I believe that someone out there has that information. I've worked several cases where one person coming forward made the difference. If that's you, please come forward now. It is not too late to tell authorities what you know, even if you don't think it's important. It may be just the piece of information they need to make the case. Even though there wasn't much public information available for this case, it stuck with me. Doug's daughter Elizabeth told a reporter from the Republic that, quote, "They took one of the most important people that could have been a part of my life," end quote. Almost 35 years after it happened, that pain is still there. In the 8th chapter of Zechariah, the prophet assures the people of Israel that God still loves them even though they've been through very hard times. He promises to restore Jerusalem and make it prosperous and safe, as he had promised Moses long ago. But the people of Israel had to hold up their part of the covenant promise. Part of that, as described in verse 16, was to speak truth to each other and establish peace among the people. Elizabeth Landfeld needs that peace. She needs whoever holds the truth about what happened to her father to come forward and be a true crime hero. The Unlovely Truth is written and produced by me, Lori Morrison. Music is by Neocortex, and artwork is by Shelby Hyland. Remember to check out the show notes for links to helpful resources or to visit my website and sign up for my email list so that you'll be the first to know when exciting new things are coming up. This week's episode is a mini episode. It's short, so it's easy for you to listen and share. Please, let's make sure we help this family by getting this in front of just as many people as we possibly can, because somebody knows something. So listen to the episode, share it on your social media with a link to make it easy for people, and please make sure you let everybody you know in Indiana know about this case. You guys are the greatest. You are all true crime heroes. See you all next time.